This is Dirshu Mishnah Berurah, and today we're going to be learning Simin Lamed Zayin. Yes, we skipped Simin Lamed Vav, and now we're going to be picking it up with Simin Lamed Zayin, and hopefully within a few days we'll be catching back up to date, as many people have been asking. So says the Machaber in the title over here that the title of Simin Lamed Zayin is Zman Hanochas Tefilin, the time, particularly of putting on Tefillin. Says the Mechaber in Tziv Aleph Godel. Before we get into the time, the Mechaber in a bit of an introduction in Tziv Aleph Godel Schar Mitzvah Tefillin. The Schar of the Mitzvah of Tefillin is great. V'chol mi she'einon manicham, and let's say you do not put on Tefillin. Ubechlal Poishi Yisrael Begufan. You're considered someone who is negligent. One of the Poishi Yisrael Begufan with your body. Quite a terrible title. And comes along the Mishnah Berurah and Sivkatan Aleph, and he explains Schar Shekol Menicha Maracham Velazeh. What is the schar of the mitzvah tefillin? And anyone who puts on tefillin lengthens his days in this world. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Hashem Aleim Yichu, Hashem should be on you and you will live. Koloimar. What do we learn out of this pasuk? Those that carry the Shem Hashem on them, but tefillin, with the tefillin Yichu, they will live. And he's promised Shuban Olam Haba, that you're going to go to Olam Haba. And furthermore, the fire of Gehenna will not be upon you. Your Averos will be forgiven. Quite an incredible accolade, quite an incredible reward awaiting one that wears tefillin. However, it's someone who's Einon Manichot, says Mishnah Berurah Sivkot and Meis. Perish, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you never wear tefillin, says the Mishnah Berurah. Even if just at times you don't wear them. Kolshkin, and certainly Mavatal Tamin Mitzvah Zu. Even if you miss just one day of tefillin, who Gamkin Mechlal Poishi Yisrael is as well considered part of these Poishi Yisrael. We see the importance not only of wearing tefillin, of ensuring that never a day goes by with one missing tefillin. Continues Mishnah Berurah Sivkot in Gimel that he's considered a Bechla Poishi Yisrael. Says Mishnah Berurah, it's referring specifically to one who does not put on tefillin because he considers it embarrassing, considers it low and degrading. But let's say one doesn't put on tefillin. As we've seen, you need to have a clean guf, you need to have a clean body, and let's see, he has a stomach issue. He's afraid he's not going to have the appropriate sanctity when he wears the tefillin. Excuse me. It's still an Aveira. Why is it an Aveira, says Mishnah Berurah? With ease, you could find a few minutes, and you can say Kriya Shema, and you can say Shon Esrei. It does not label you with his terrible title of Poishi Yisrael. And certainly, if you really love the mitzvah tefillin, and you're very careful, you have a clean body. Right now, it's like you're sick, certainly you don't get this terrible title. Continues Mishnah Berurah, you should know the Kosva Bach says, even if the mitzvah is not low in your eyes, let's say you don't put on tefillin, not because you don't care about tefillin, and not because it's low in your eyes. You know why you don't put on tefillin? Because you don't have time, you're busy working, or you lose money, so you're lazy. That as well, says the Bach, is however, there's a difference in punishment. It says Mishnah Berurah, and this is a terrible warning, a terrible teichacha to those who wear the tefillin in the wrong place. They wear it down in their forehead and they don't wear it up by their hairline. And also the shalyad, you don't wear it in the right place. As we've seen, if the tefillin are not in the right place, it's as if you're not wearing it at all. Already has warned us and already urged us that he said that tefillin that are in the wrong place, it's as if they're in their box. As we've seen already, and just to point out, on the arm we've spoken about that when you lay your hand next to your body, your tefillin should not be protruding outward, but rather at that point they should be laying in your body, keneged the leiv. It's one of the areas that unfortunately people err in. Says Mishnah Berurah of Kodan Dalit, it's called B'Yishay Yisrael Begufan, that one is negligent with their body. Says Mishnah Berurah V'dinoi Pasuk B'Shas Rosh Hashanah, and this din is paskin in the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. Ta'afilu hu ish beinoni. Says Mishnah Berurah, and this is a great warning as we're in the middle of Elul right now, that even one who is an ish beinoni, I know the highlighting is not working, so let's just continue without it. Even one who is an ish beinoni, says the Mishnah Berurah, the darko shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahato is a kav kla b'chesed, that the way of Hashem is to turn the scale towards the righteous, towards the kindness. But let's say you have one of your aviras, this is terrible avira, where it's tefillin. What happens? Then all of a sudden the scale gets tilted in the other way. Unfortunately pushes him into Gehenim. And let's say he's not just a Beinoni. Let's say unfortunately he has more aviros. He goes to Gehenim for 12 months. And after 12 months, his body is used up and his soul is burnt. And his soul is spread out like ashes underneath the feet of the tzaddikim. Quite a terrible punishment. Of course, we believe in tshuva. And you should know that we know of the power of the mitzvah so much, and the opposite, the punishment, therefore, again, another warning. Mishnah Berurah numerous times has made this plug. You should be careful to buy tefillin from a proper sefer of Yerei Shemayim Bal Taira. As well, we've seen that the Ritzuyos can have many issues. When you should buy from a praiseworthy person, you should know that they're created in tant, lishma, for the appropriate reasons, from pure hides. Because if you wear tefillin which are invalid, not only are you not mekayim the mitzvah, which we're seeing today is such a terrible thing, to be labeled as the Paishi Yisrael, but says Mishnah Berurah, if your tefillin are apostle, it's even worse. Not only that, but you're making brachas levatala, which is a terrible punishment. Says Mishnah Berurah, many people, where they buy their tefillin? Not necessarily from the biggest Yerei Shemayim, not necessarily from a Talmud Chacham. They just look for the cheapest person. Ve'rubam einan merubah, and it says Mishmur, they're not square. But yes, kakulin shamatz ben beis kisivas, and the many issues, and they write them. Chol Yerei Shemayim mitin aliba, and any Yerei Shemayim, says Mishnah Berurah, shall place in his heart. Imam albusha ve'kelav u'ma'adeh shekitikunam. Everyone make sure that his pants fit properly, that his suit fits properly, that his hat fits properly. Mikol shekein chafsei shamayim shli yitzamsein v'yachos al kesef. Certainly when it comes to chafsei shamayim tefillin, should not care about the money. El ya'ader liknois hasanjim bevadek shelim, you should go after those who are for sure kosher. Ach shebechirim rav, even though they're expensive. Because of a darki Moshe b'shem Mordechai. Yesh la'adam la'aderach tefillin nam, you should look for beautiful tefillin. Shenemar zeh keli van veyu. Dainu sheksavin la'ablar uman, that the appropriate scribe writes it b'chsav na, with a beautiful writing. With yaina v'lkumes na kalifin nain. The importance we have to place on our tefillin, just like we place it on our houses and our cars and our clothing. Says Mishnah Berurah, be careful your tefillin as well. And we continue in Sif Beis, says this is Sif Aleph, as we mentioned, was a bit of a akdama. Now in Sif Beis says the Mechaber, mitzvahs and liyos and alav kol yom, the mitzvahs to wear tefillin all day. Aval, however, you need a clean body, you don't pass gas in them, and you don't leave your mind for them, you don't think about other matters for a moment. And not every person could have such a correct mindset all the time and a clean body. Therefore, the minhag is not to wear them all day. You should be careful. Of course, says Mishnah Berurah, be careful that you're wearing them while you daven and learn. Well, while you say Kriya Shema and daven. Says Mishnah Berurah Sifkat Neil Yosen Alav Timizman Katzer Kazek, because a short amount of time like we daven Bikal Yachal Yizar Me'afachas Besachadas. One can easily be careful not to pass gas and not to lose his mind from the tefillin. Pshat Kriya Shema says Mishmur Sifkat Vav the Chol Hakari Kriya Shema below tefillin. Why specifically Kriya Shema? Mishmur doesn't say all of tefillah. Mishmur says specifically Kriya Shema. Why? Because anyone who says Kriya Shema below tefillin, Keilu made Eid Shakar Ba'atzmai, it's as if he's giving a false testimony about himself for the fact that in Kriya Shema you talk about the tefillin, so how could you say psukim in the Torah about wearing tefillin and not be wearing them? But let's say you don't have your tefillin, or let's say you have a stomach ache. The whole day is the zman you should wear the tefillin, so you should not be mevatel even one day from the mitzvah of tefillin. Utfilah Sefkat and Zayin says Mishnah Berurah, Vayinlah Sefchaves if you gimel zeuk l'chol adam is for every person. Avalan Shei Ma'isa says Mishnah Berurah and Shei Ma'isa nogin little more achar tefillah b'tefillin. They learn after davening the tefillin. This is something you see even nowadays. You see many people after davening, they sit and they learn for 20 minutes, a half hour, and they wear their tefillin. Be careful. Don't talk in your tefillin dvarim b'tilim. T'mulvad it's a dvarim b'tilim. Aside for the problem that you're talking dvarim b'tilim in your tefillin, also it's hadas that you're not thinking about your tefillin. Right? We conclude today's share with Sif Gimel, which of course, by the way, parenthetically, this is where the practice comes from. Many of our Gedalim, most recently Rav Chaim Sheinberg, of course, would wear tefillin all day. Coming from here, the Anshe Maisa, coming from the fact that he had a clean body and a pure mind, of course. Says Mishnah Berurah Sif Gimel, Katan ha'yadei lishmar tefillin b'tayra, Katan, a child that knows that a guard is tefillin with purity, he's not going to sleep nor pass gas in them. Says the Ramav, he won't go into the bathroom with them. Chayiv, he is obligated. His father is obligated to buy him tefillin, and that is the sheet of the Mechaber. And there are Sfardim that do such, as we'll see, that even children wear tefillin. But says the Ramav, this is only a child who's 13 years old. That is the minhag, and one should not change the minhag, says the Ramav. Says Mishnah Berurah Sifkat and Chesa Yodea, he knows they koydim lachein before this in Rosh Hashanah tefillin. You're not allowed to put on tefillin. V'lav chinuchu, it's not chinuch to wear tefillin before that age, as you don't know how to guard them properly. Says Mishnah Berurah Sifkat and Tesla Chanukah even mitzvah zanachasan. You have the mitzvah of chinuch to teach them how to wear them. V'chein lamda edinim nechacham lazan to teach them the different dinim regarding this. Says Mishnah Berurah Sifkat and Yod, that the Ramah points out that we don't do this for Ketana, and this is Dafka only when a child is 13. Before this age, we don't let him wear tefillin even if he wants. Because he certainly does not know how to guard his tefillin. Ben Yugimel Shana, 13 years old, and the Chiddush being, even if he doesn't have 2 pubic hairs, once he's at the age of 13, we allow him to wear tefillin, which of course is the prevalent minhag. Mishnah Berurah quotes Magen Avraham. Some have such a minhag. They were tefillin 2 or 3 months before they're 13 years old. If someone can talk but he cannot hear, he can hear but cannot talk. He's not mechuyev, he's not obligated, but we do not protest if he wants. We'll pick it up to next year from Simin Lamid Ches.